Johnny Cirucci. Thank you for joining me in the trenches.
Jeremy, it's an absolute thrill. It's an absolute thrill to be back with you. I'm so happy to, and not only to come back to you, but also for this very, very valuable topic of, for me personally, when someone says, hey, what do you think? Is there anything to this Black Nobility stuff? And my very first thought is, oh my goodness, you have no idea, number one. And number two, we are in an era of, how do I describe it for, in a proper family? We're in an era of baiting. We're in an era of, I don't want to just call it prejudice because that's kind of dismissive. We're in an era where if you go anywhere outside of mainstream media and the so-called alternative media, there is a specific group that gets highlighted and spotlighted. And these are big people, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, who is Catholic, a very, very long list of very big people who are blaming this group. And the group, whether it's an ethnicity or a religion or a country of Israel. It is amazing. And for truth seekers, so I guess it's always important to go big picture, Jeremy. And so people come to you, they gravitate to you. Why? Because they realize that mainstream media is lying to them. Mainstream media is blowing smoke at them. Mainstream media is giving them propaganda. They know that there are hidden truths that they are hungering for. What is really going on? What's really going on? So they come to alternative media, and this goes back. This goes back to, with me on my background, born and raised Italian Roman Catholic, been that for the longest time, and very.
Hang on. Because your full name, Giovanni Cirucci.
Giovanni Agostino Cirucci. I'm using my mom's last name because of family issues. The other side of the family is just as Italian. I am ethnically 100% Italian. But born and raised in America, I can't speak a lick of Italiano.
But you got that twang, don't you?
I do. It's genetic. There's no way around it. It's absolutely genetic. And honestly, I think it's the good Lord has a sense of humor. When I was 25, I became a born again Christian. I born and raised Italian Roman Catholic in, I hate to tell this, had to put New Jersey. Oh my goodness. What an embarrassment this is to admit that I'm from New Jersey. But New Jersey, Philadelphia, New York, that whole area. Very, very Italian Catholic. The Northeast, very, very Catholic. Look, Maryland, the seat, the capital of American government, the colony founded by Catholics for Catholics. But my upbringing and background, very Italian Roman Catholic, but also right wing and conservative, which is what put me in a career with the military, wanting to serve. And I guess the good Lord had a sense of humor because I went through 20, 25 years. If I include school, it's a good 25 years of just being thoroughly disappointed in everything, all the Hollywood, stuff, you name it, fly jets, ride tanks, be in special forces, and I did almost none of it. And I ended up going through all that time in the military and getting out really early getting out and being very disenfranchised and dissatisfied. And the good news is that had me asking a lot of questions that I would not have asked otherwise. And in the process, I had become a born-again Christian. And I had always known that the Catholic Church was a power player, but I just didn't know where and how. And I just wasn't able to plug that.
Sorry, Johnny, when you talk about the Catholic... Sorry, I'm interrupting, but when you talk about the Catholic Church, are you referring to the Vatican?
All of the above. Certainly the Vatican is the seat of power in Rome. Vatican is a sovereign city-state. It is... and it's not always been in Rome. For 70 years, it was moved to Avignon in France, but it is the seat, the serpent. it is, and I don't want to offend Catholics. There are great Catholics out there, and many of them are right-minded and feel like they're the minority. They're trying to fight the machine, but the sad fact is what I have found is behind the scenes, Catholic hierarchy is the machine. They are the machine, much more so than all of the Rothschilds in Israel and Judaism. That they are patsies. That those groups that I just mentioned, yeah, they're players, but they're managers. They are managers. Intuitively, truth seekers, I got to ask you, truth seekers, come on. Intuitively, if you had all the power, all the technology, you owned all the governments, you have the ability to conduct what, this 5 years ago, starting in 2020, how do I put this without setting off all the sensors? That I'll just call it what they call it, a pandemic. And yet everyone around the world fell exactly in line with the restrictions, no matter how outrageous they were, no matter how tyrannical they were, no matter how much cover the pharmaceutical industry received and receives to this day. Zero liability in America. I don't know if anybody knows this. In America, thanks to the Childhood Vaccine Injury Act signed by Ronald Reagan, who was born and raised Catholic. His father is a Knight of Columbus. His brother's a Knight of Columbus. The vaccine industry has no liability. They're completely, so anything that happens to you, if you have hesitation about taking a vaccine and it has adverse effects, or God forbid you have a child and you think that the child has been adversely affected, listen, there's all kinds of information about whether or not autism is vaccine related. I will tell you, yeah, that's what I've seen in my research. God forbid if you have an infant and you have the child in the hospital, which is foolish as far as I'm concerned, and immediately fill the child full of 17 vaccines right off the bat, your child has an adverse reaction, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. They have almost complete and total liability coverage. No industry around the world has that coverage. That's why Bill Gates, a tech geek, is suddenly a vaccination expert, because he found out when he invested $1 million, he got $20 million in return. What? That's not me. That's Bill Gates bragging to CNBC. Okay. So anyway, I knew that there's a player going on. Let me get back to your original question. What am I talking about when I say Vatican? I use it all for the same. Vatican, Rome, Catholic Church. And again, I don't want to offend the average passerby Catholic, but there are some issues throughout history. The Catholic Church, fact, the Catholic Church has been the foundation of Western civilization for over a millennia. If you count millennia as 1,000 years, over a millennia. Now, if you combine the power of military Rome with religious Rome, well into 2 millennia. Has the sovereign city-state of Rome been an epicenter of power and control. And what I found is that it did not wane with the Middle Ages. It did not go away. It did not go away when military Rome fell, because religious Rome came in and was far more powerful. For you Christians, if you've ever read the book of Daniel in Nebuchadnezzar's dream has the great statue of 4 metals that has been explained very, very accurately by most scholars, and really by the book of Daniel, as the head of gold is Babylon, the torso of silver is Medo-Persia, and the loins of brass, I believe, is Greece, and then the legs and feet of iron and miry clay, that's Rome. And this is confirmed later on in Revelation chapter 7, where Daniel has his own vision of 4 terrible beasts, of a lion with wings, symbolizing Babylon and how quickly it conquered the world, and then a bear with one shoulder raised up, Medo and Persia, the collaboration between the Medes and the Persians. It started off with the Medes being more powerful, and it ended with the Persians being more powerful. That's why he's offset. And then after that, you have, what do they call it? Like a leopard, a really fast cat, which showed how quickly Alexander the Great conquered the known world. And then after that, interesting, Daniel chapter 7, his vision, this 4th and final beast is radically different from all the previous beasts. I believe, based on what I've seen, that the reason why Daniel had this odd vision, and why the 4th and final beast, by the way, with claws and teeth of iron, which harkens back to, this is just a confirmation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. The iron is Rome. Okay, so The reason why this beast is so radically different, so terrifying, so much more terrible, is it encapsulates the transition from military Rome to religious Rome. So military conquest requires nations, tyrannies, to control by putting a soldier on every street corner. That's expensive. That requires a lot of resources. What you had with this transformation from military Rome into religious Rome is now suddenly you had a tyranny of the heart. You had people willingly putting their hands in the handcuffs because you had a massive manipulative entity seeking to control minds and hearts and souls. This is all the difference. Now, I have a radical view on faith and religion based on me being a born-again Christian. As far as I'm concerned, ultimate Christianity is decentralized. You, Jesus, your Bible is your map, your road guide. Okay,
yeah, but that's the opposite to what the Catholic Church preaches.
It is directly opposite. Very, very well caught. It is directly opposite. The Catholic Church, little Nick Fuentes, the social networking phenom that he is now, also very big on blaming a certain group, and a very devout Catholic. He reaffirmed the doctrines of the Catholic Church. I have the clip of him saying there is no salvation outside of the Catholic Church. There is no salvation outside of the Catholic Church.
I think also Candace, eh?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Listen, it's as soon as the Christian allows a human being to get in between them and their relationship with Jesus Christ, they've lost, Jeremy. They've lost. Okay. Yeah. I have a radical view on this. What it means to be a Christian is to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. You, Jesus, through the Bible. As soon as an organization stands in between you and your faith, you've lost. You've punted your responsibility. You allow them to control you, and they do. They do. So when Jesuit trained Karl Marx in Trier, Karl Marx says religion is the opiate of the people. Oh, he's speaking Jesuit truth. He's absolutely spot on speaking Jesuit truth. Religion.
Wasn't he a Jew?
Yes, he was. He was a Jew born in Trier, a Roman Catholic enclave, an island of Catholic power in Protestant Lutheran Germany, and he was Jesuit trained. He was Jesuit trained in his schooling and his upbringing, which is interesting. So, big picture, who is more powerful? Is it the person in the spotlight, or the ones behind the scenes that train them? And this goes back to my original concern, my original question to the audience. If you have all the power in the world, you have all the governments and the militaries and the technology and the wealth, what's the very first thing you want to do? You want to disappear. You want to erase yourself. You want to make yourself invisible. What's the second thing you want to do? You're not safe. You want to grab a patsy and shove them into the spotlight for everyone's anger and ire. And I submit to you,
Jews.
That's exactly what's going on. And it's not that these Jews in question are without blame. Of course, they are culpable. They are managers. My point, everything that I do, my point is there are entities standing behind them. If you go on Google and search who rules the world, I mean, in a very general fashion, ultimately you're going to be told the Rothschilds rule the world from behind. Google that changed its birthday to September 27th to commemorate the Jews, Jerusalem, Israel? No, to commemorate the founding of the Jesuits on September 27th in 1540 by a Black Nobility Pope, Alessandro Farnese. Who?
Hang on, Johnny. Sorry. Because you're talking a lot, I'm going to jump in if you don't mind from time to time, just to clarify something. But when you talk about the Jesuits, what are you talking about?
Excellent question. So you have the entity that is the Catholic Church. In the Catholic Church, there are ordained clerics, priests, brothers, monks. Now, within those ordinations are groups, specific groups, Franciscans, Dominicans, they have their own little subset of power, but they still serve the Catholic Church. You've got this guy, Sean Ross, that talks about the Templars all the time. Hey, pal, you're missing the point. The Templars serve the Catholic Church. If you dig deep enough, you'll see how much Freemasonry honors the Templars, the Knights of Malta. And what you miss is these are Knights of the Catholic Church. So Ignatius de Loyola, Ignacio Lopez, was a Spanish Basque noble. Now, there's a lot of subterfuge. Oh, he's a crypto Jew. He was a Jew. But are you kidding me? Do you have any proof of that? Do you have any lineage? Let me see his genealogical records. He was a Spanish Basque noble. This is subterfuge, the idea that he was a Jew. So to address that real quick, look at Ignatius de Loyola. And if you want to make the ridiculous case without any genealogical proof that he was actually Jewish, my follow-on question is, okay, you have no proof. At least can you show me what it is that he did to secretly enable Judaism in the Catholic Church? Nothing. No,
he gave his life to the Catholic Church.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He dedicated his life to the Queen of Heaven, to Mary. He originally called his offset. He was wounded at the Battle of Pamplona. He wanted to be a martial hero, a military hero, and have all the glory that comes with that. And he was wounded at the Battle of Pamplona, and he went to Montserrat and immersed himself in a cave and had weird visions in a cave where he started to formulate Ignatian doctrine on spiritual disciplines, which he later codified. The Ignatian disciplines. It really is masterful. It is a masterful treatise on how to control human beings, Jeremy. A masterful treatise. The Ignatian disciplines, the spiritual disciplines. I personally experienced it and going through the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps is very Jesuitical in how it breaks down the self, destroys the self, and rebuilds you into a smart weapon. We build you into almost a robot to be aimed and fired. And that is...
Okay, so hold on. So then the Jesuits are the military wing of the Catholic Church.
Very much so. Very much. They are, I regularly call them the Special Forces of the Catholic Church, founded on September 27th in 1540, actually founded on August 15th in 1534 to honor Mary, the Queen of Heaven. It's a different individual. Mary, Columbia, Semiramis, Isis. That's the same pagan entity that, I hate to say this, that Catholicism worships. Okay? It is not Miriam, the mother, the mother, earthly mother, earthly vessel of Jesus. It is a separate Gnostic goddess, okay? And that's who Ignatius Loyola in 1534 on August 15th, a day very holy to the worship of the Queen Mother, the co-mediatrix, co-redemptrix. That's when he originally founded his special forces group. Well, Francis Xavier and Diego Lainez and seven other very, very devout, devoted Catholics, most of them Spaniards, Italians, French. So they absolutely are the special forces of the Catholic Church. Show you how much that they are.
And what is their long game?
Total domination. Total domination from behind the scenes, and they basically got it. Total domination from behind the scenes to force each and every entity, every nation, every group to secretly or overtly honor the Catholic Church. Now, they can pretend to be deferential and say, we want you to honor the Pope. They can do that because outside of Jorge Mario de Bergoglio, Francis I, the Pope, the papacy is controlled by the Jesuits anyway, unless there's an actual Jesuit sitting in the office of the White Pope. So their goal.
Okay, so sorry, but I'm jumping in again. But earlier you said the Black Pope. The Black Pope. Who is that?
So Black Pope is a euphemism for the Superior General. is the highest official that controls the Jesuit order. And he is known, Arturo Sosa out of Venezuela is the current Black Pope. He is known as the Black Pope as a euphemism for his power. Now, the Jesuits say, well, that's because he's just so humble. He doesn't have any special garb. He just wears a black priest cassock. But anybody has any exposure to the Jesuits, no. That's because he has incredible power behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. Give you an example of how quickly the Jesuits rose and took over the Catholic Church. And there may be good Catholics that say, hey, if it weren't for these darn Jesuits, I could have my religion back. Well, it's always been problematical, even before the Jesuits, took over in the 1600s. The Dominicans were the bulldogs of the Catholic Church. They were the special forces prior to the Jesuits. They ran the Inquisition. And as soon as the Jesuits ascended to power, it was obvious that they were the best. And very quickly, the Inquisition was taken from the Dominicans and given to the Jesuits. So they truly are. Here's an example, many of the examples that I give in relation to, okay, who really controls the world? Who controls infrastructure? Who controls infrastructure? Who has a predominance of schools and hospitals and orphanages through which secular governments cooperate, through which secular governments stand back and allow this entity to mass rape children? That's not hyperbole. It's a fact. It's a fact. Tuan, Ireland, 800 dead babies found underground there. That's just one of a whole host.
What about Epstein? I mean, Epstein was a Jew.
How is it that Jeffrey Epstein is a household name? How is it that all the big media agencies are all talking about Jeffrey Epstein and no one's ever heard of the CIA child trafficking, of who founded the CIA, Knight of Malta, Wall Street, DuPont, Roman Catholic lawyer Bill Donovan, who founded the FBI that is their partner in serial crime, Charles Joseph Bonaparte, devout Roman Catholic, Daily Mass Roman Catholic, great grandnephew of Napoleon Bonaparte. It's all about Epstein. Epstein showed up, and prior to Epstein, nobody was trafficking in teenage girls.
So it's a deflection.
It's absolutely a deflection. Absolutely a deflection. I'm not saying that Epstein isn't a player. I personally believe that he was not killed. Come on. Listen, I was in the military. You have basically the Osama bin Laden of pedophilia, right? And he really isn't, because what the media tells you is, oh, he was just farming out teenage girls for sexy massages. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Where the truth, the reality is shocking. The real thing that really goes on is small children being used and tortured and mind controlled for the purpose of sexual blackmail. No one's ever heard of, not too long ago, the so-called Franklin cover-up, which in and of itself was a deflection. The guy that brought the so-called Franklin cover-up onto the scene, a Kansas state politician by the name of John DeCamp. Oh, he's a nobody. He was a Nebraska state senator. He's a nobody, except that he worked for the CIA during the Vietnam War in Saigon for the warrior priest Bill Colby, who was the Saigon station chief. As a matter of fact, he was part and parcel to Operation Phoenix. Mass murder and slaughter, Cambodia, Laos, all that illegal stuff. That's John DeCamp. And John DeCamp admits openly that he had several interviews, more than one, with, at that time, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, Nazi youth Joseph Ratzinger, who was the prefect for the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith. The prefect for the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith. Oh, you don't know what that is? That's the Inquisition. The Inquisition never went. The Inquisition was never disbanded. Just went through a name change. And Joseph Ratzinger headed it at one point. And while he was heading it, oh, by the way, John de Camp was almost a Roman Catholic priest himself. He had an interview with Cardinal Ratzinger, and Cardinal Ratzinger said, hey, listen, we got a problem right around your corner there in Omaha, Peyton Manning, Omaha, Nebraska, okay? We got a problem there. Turns out that young boys are being taken from the legendary orphanage of Boys Town, and they're being farmed out to Republican politicians because Republicans are the ones we need to be the biggest frauds, the ones who are we need to be the most blackmailed. They're the most dangerous because they're supposedly on the right. The Democrats on the left, we own them. We own them. We want them to be as full and rabid and communist and far left as they can. The Republicans are the problem. We need to make sure that they're a bunch of frauds, and we do that by catching them sodomizing young boys, and we'll take the young boys out of Boys Town. You ever heard a guy by the name of Charles Manson? Charles Manson, Charles Manson was found by a Roman Catholic priest, a prison chaplain, who then took him from a boys' institution, and with the cooperation of a secular American judge, had him transferred to Boys Town. Well, Charlie Manson found something. The experiences of Boys Town were so upsetting for him that within 2 weeks he ran away. What happened to Charlie Manson at Boys Town?
So he was a patsy.
He was a patsy. Oh my goodness, he was a patsy. Oh, evil Charles Manson, evil. He would put him away for 1,000 lifetimes. Simple question: how many people did Charlie Manson kill himself? How many? Illuminati, zero. It was all of his cult offshoot Roman Catholic girls. What's her name? Periwinkle. The Roman Catholic girls that were his devotees. They did all the killing, but he took the blame as a big smoke and mirrors. The guy's a mess. The guy's messed up. He is the perfect patsy, a big distraction. Okay, so no one's heard of the so-called Franklin cover-up, and it's not the Franklin cover-up. It's the Boys Town cover-up. Okay, so this Epstein stuff is a massive distraction. Here's what they found, Jeremy. Here's what they found. They found that if they fabricate a lie, it has no power. But if they dance the lie close to the truth, it has more staying power. So they take a topic that is very real, child trafficking, and they dance it to the truth, and they grab a Jew and they shove him in place. And they say, look at this evil Jew. Oh, he's dead now. He was trafficking teenage girls for a little while, but he's dead now. Nothing to see here. Let me get this straight. So he was arrested back, 20 years ago. He was arrested 20 years ago in Florida. Oh, Pamela Bondi, the current attorney general of Donald Trump, she was the attorney general in Florida at the time. For what's his name, Governor Scott? Just a coincidence, mind you, just a coincidence.
Hang on. Wasn't Trump also Jesuit trained?
Yes, he was. As a matter of fact. Trump was Jesuit trained at Fordham for 2 years, and then he transferred to the private University of Pennsylvania that I have proof is actually secretly controlled by the Jesuits, maybe for as long as inception by Benjamin Hellfire Club Franklin from the beginning. So he left, and in fact, his girlfriend, his daughter, I keep getting that mixed up. Ivanka, she did the same thing. She started off at Jesuit Georgetown and then transferred to the University of Pennsylvania. It's really weird how it is. Are you kidding me? Jesuit training is the best you can have, and you're going to the University of Pennsylvania? Well, other Trump children, although they tend to marry Jewish people, as cover, they are also Jesuit trained. Many of Trump's children are Jesuit trained, but Donald Trump married a Catholic, Melania, an East European devoted Roman Catholic. Oh, wait, it's the Jews, Johnny. Oh, that Jared Kushner. He runs it all from behind the scenes. You're kidding, right? Jared Kushner. He's a nobody. He's a beard for Trump's mistress. I'm for Trump's daughter. Very, very Catholic. Look, Jared Kushner's daddy was prosecuted by, I think it was then Attorney General Chris Christie. You'll never guess what religion Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey, was. Roman Catholic, still is Roman Catholic. Prosecuted Kushner's father for some kind of skullduggery and apparent blackmail plot and whatnot. Who really controls the scene? Who really controls things from behind?
So let me jump in here again, Johnny. So, okay, right. So what you're saying is that you have a center of power being the Catholic Church, and it creates all these groups that have various roles to play. The Jesuits or the military wing of the Catholic Church, and they want to remain out of the line of fire, so they put Jews in the front. And who is then controlling the Catholic Church? You mentioned the Black Pope. Now, you also very, very briefly mentioned Black Nobility at the beginning of our conversation.
So, names like Medici, Borgia, Aldobrandini, Colonna, Farnese. These are the power names that never come up in your searches. Never come up. It's always Rothschild and Soros, as a quick aside.
And Rockefeller.
And here's the crazy thing. This is why it has staying power, Jeremy, is why it has staying power. These are evil people. There's no doubt they're evil people. What you do is you focus on their evil and you don't ask the critical follow-on question, who's behind them? Who's behind them? The Rockefellers, oh my goodness, they are primarily responsible for the malign, the industry, the death cult that is the health industry. The Rockefellers are personally responsible, that family, for the death cult that is. Now, Rockefellers are not Jewish. The Rockefellers are not Jewish, and in fact, they're supposedly apostate. Not supposedly, they're apostate Protestant, with the exception of guys like John David, who had Roman Catholic priests like J.P. Lennon do sleepyovers at his house and have a play golf with John David confidants. Once again, you have a Roman Catholic priest as a confidant of people like John David Rockefeller. These are patsies. These are patsies. They're not. It's not that they're not evil. Look at a guy like Soros. I've played the clip repeatedly of his interview on 60 Minutes, where he admits that he was saved during World War II by a Roman Catholic uncle, Hungarian Catholic, Habsburgs. Oh, they're Jewish, right? No, they are Hungarian Catholic Black Nobility. He was saved by a Catholic uncle who pretended that he was his adopted son and also a Catholic. He and his uncle would go around confiscating Jewish property for the Gestapo. And I just did on my show yesterday the incredible Catholic roots to the Third Reich. Third Reich is just overwhelmingly. I just go to my Resistance Rising and see the show that we just put on yesterday. Soros pretended to be a Roman Catholic. He said it was the greatest time he had in his life, going around and confiscating Jewish property for the Gestapo of arrested Jews. Jews were arrested. They left a bunch of things behind. And George Soros, the Jew, would come in with his uncle and confiscate it. And he told 60 Minutes, greatest time of my life. And the 60 Minutes host was like, didn't that bother you at all? That There, it could be me. I'm Jewish. They're gone. They're gulag. They're concentration camp. They're disappeared. They're killed off, and I'm collecting all their property for the Nazi empire. Didn't that bother you at all? No, he said no. No, I play the clip for you. No, not at all. Somebody had to do it. Might as well have been me. Greatest time of my life. Best time of my life. Says George Soros. Now. Would you not think that he would be the archetypal, the picture? If you hated Jews, would he not be the very guy that you would install? Would he not be the very guy? Look at how Israel fell in line with the pandemic restrictions. Lockstep. You had to have a green card. The only nations worse than Israel, nations, Australia, New Zealand in the West, certainly China in the East. Israel out of control. You might as well put a yellow armband during the pandemic of all the restrictions. So does that make any sense that the Israelis want to take over the world and then vaccinate themselves into infinity? No, clearly, there's something behind them that really actually hates them. Okay, that's my case. Epstein, real quick. Let me go to Epstein real quick and some examples here. Okay, so Donald Trump's attorney general, a guy by the name of Bill Barr, he was Jewish too. Oh, no, hyper devout Roman Catholic. Bill Barr, hyper devout Roman Catholic. His father, Donald Barr, devout Roman Catholic. Donald Barr used to work for Roman Catholic Bill Donovan in the OSS. Donald Barr used to work for Roman Catholic Bill Donovan in the OSS. And when he got out of the OSS, he just sort of retired and wrote novels about sex trafficking. No joke. Look this up. Donald Barr. Fictional novels about sex trafficking that mirror image what we now talk about Jeffrey Epstein today. And he eventually became headmaster of a school called Dalton. And Donald Barr was headmaster at Dalton. And one of the last things he did was he hired a 2-time college dropout to teach at Dalton. A nobody by the name of Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Barr hired him, brought him in. New York Times said the kids knew right away there's something weird about this guy. This guy is weird. He's acting odd with the kids, acting odd with the teenagers. Something weird about this guy. And Donald Barr popped smoke, as we say in the military. He got out of Dalton so quickly, he didn't even get a chance to shake Jeffrey Epstein's hand. He hired Jeffrey Epstein, installed Jeffrey Epstein at Dalton, and then took off. And then here we have, years later, let's take a pit stop, and wherever it was, 05, 07, somewhere around there, Jeffrey Epstein's first arrest. And they're in Florida, which is currently run by a Jew. What's the governor of Florida? Let's see here. I forget his name. Oh, DeSantis, Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis. How could I forget this? A Navy lawyer. He is Jewish? No, he's also Catholic. So when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in Florida, originally, a Puerto Rican Cuban Jew. No, Alexander Acosta is also Catholic. The federal prosecutor had 5 federal counts against Jeffrey Epstein. Alexander Acosta said the CIA stepped in and told him, drop the charges. Don't even make a deal. Drop the charges. He's one of ours. We got this. CIA founded by Jews? No, by a Roman Catholic. CIA run. I have a massive folder, Jeremy, of all the Roman Catholics, Jesuit-trained individuals who run through to this day the CIA. It's euphemistically called Catholics in Action. By coincidence, the nickname of the Jesuits, the company, just so happens to also be the nickname of the CIA, the company. Oh, but it's the Jews, right? So Alexander Acosta was told by the CIA, drop the charges. We've got him. And so Jeffrey Epstein, first time around, ended up getting like 13 weeks of house arrest. Right? No TV on Wednesday. Hey, check in with us on Sunday and be a good little boy, okay?
Boop. Can I jump in quickly? So why then is the U.S. Israel first rather than, say, Vatican first?
Think about it. If Rome was controlling the United States government, would it not go out of its way to be deferential to Israel in the same way that supposedly you get beat down for blaming Jews anywhere on the internet, but you really don't. You really don't. The Jew baiting, the anti-Semitism is everywhere. It's everywhere. This idea that you'll get whatever, you'll get censored or deleted or arrested, whatever the case is, it really is just rare enough to be a non-factor. If Donald Trump is your puppet, would you not tell him to put on a yarmulke and go pretend to pray at the so-called Wailing Wall? What is the Wailing Wall? Is the Wailing Wall a bit of the Third Temple? Jesus Christ said, not one stone be left on another. Turns out the Wailing Wall is a remnant of the Roman Antonia fortress. So as the most pious and devout Jews do their prayer over, their repetitious prayer over and over, they're praying to the Roman military. How appropriate is that? So think about this. It's absolutely intuitive. If you control these power figures, would you not have these power figures absolutely be deferential to Jews, to Israel, to stoke up the flames of anger against Israel? It's absolutely intuitive. So Jeffrey Epstein, house arrest, Alexander, Roman Catholic, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Roman Catholic, Alexander Acosta, let him off the hook. He had house arrest for a short period of time, and then he's back out on the streets to do his skullduggery, right? And he's out there trafficking teenage girls as opposed to what's really going on in the background, like what happened out of Boys Town, young boys to be raped and horribly abused by men. Okay, that doesn't play very well. That doesn't play very well. Oh, by the way, a journalist by the name of Wayne Madsen says that Donald Trump has paid $30 million to the families of 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls, to quiet them up. So, that doesn't play nearly as good as Stormy Daniels. Oh, yeah, he had an adulterous affair with a porn queen with big breastises. Oh, yeah, what a man, what a man. He paid off the families of little boys that he had violated. Oh, that doesn't quite play so well among conservatardia. So, Epstein disappeared. And, oh, by the way, Alexander Acosta shot up in his popularity from there. He shot up in his popularity by letting Jeffrey Epstein off the hook. As a matter of fact, he was Donald Trump's pick for labor secretary. He was Donald Trump's pick for labor. Now, why is that? Because labor secretary oversees trafficking laws and trafficking enforcement. Oh, very helpful. Very helpful. Well, we have this ridiculous, we have the second arrest of Jeffrey Epstein. Then he's put in a federal holding facility, and he commits suicide twice. He's in a federal holding facility, and he's on suicide watch, and he attempts to kill himself once unsuccessfully, and he does so again. And right as he does, all the cameras are gone. How stupid are we? How stupid are we? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So I personally suspect that this is just. This was just a big show. Listen, he's in the spotlight. Let's put him in the spotlight, and then we'll disappear him. In the same way.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry, but you were going to explain to me who the Black Nobility are.
Very quickly, what happened when Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide? You should have had a massive shakeup. And instead, we had Donald Trump's Attorney General, Bill Barr, the son of Donald Barr, the guy that installed Epstein at Dalton. Bill Barr, what did Bill Barr do? He fired one person, the director of prisons, and installed a female Roman Catholic, Kathleen Hawksar. Oh, that'll never happen again. You've got the Osama bin Laden. You got the Osama bin Laden, supposedly, of child trafficking. And he's able to, in a federal facility, commit suicide twice and disappear, and you lost him. And the only thing you do is you fire one person and you replace him with a Roman Catholic female, Kathleen Hawksar. For real? Bill Barr, Roman Catholic, okay? Daddy was connected to Epstein. Okay, so Black Nobility. Here's what's important to remember about the Borgias, the Medici, the Aldobrandini, the Colonna, the Orsini. They are epicenters of power, but they're little rivulets of power. What makes these families powerful? They're being plugged in to the Catholic Church as priests, bishops, cardinals, and popes. Okay? The Medici were never as powerful as when they were popes. There is a Lorenzo Medici to this day. Look him up. Prince Lorenzo Medici, who's in tight. I was just having a conversation with Mike King on Twitter there in relation to modern Lorenzo Medici. The original Lorenzo Medici grandson of Cosimo de Medici. Cosimo de Medici, the progenitor. If you get into the arts and Michelangelo de Buonarroti, okay, how is it? Come on, artists don't get to do art for a living. You need a commission. You need a money bag to pay you to do what you love. Nobody, real life, then or today, you don't get to do what you love unless somebody pays you. Who paid Michelangelo de Buonarroti to do what he did? The Medici Florence power clan. Okay? But again, they only have tendrils through the Catholic Church. By themselves, the Borgia, the Colonna, the Farnese, the Alessandro Farnese, Pope Paul III, that instituted the Jesuits in 1540. Okay, they have to be plugged in to the power of the Catholic Church. Then they have worldwide reach. So, do the Jews have the power of infrastructure? Do they have the power of, hospitals, schools, orphanages? For every one Jewish hospital, there are thousands of Catholic hospitals. Thousands. And oh, by the way, they're conducting all kinds of skullduggery, child trafficking. Francisco Franco, a devoted Roman Catholic dictator, his consigliere was Jose Maria, is it Joseph? Joseph Mary? Jose Maria Escriva, the founder of Opus Dei. That was his confidant, maybe even his confessor, I believe. Okay, Franco was using Catholic hospitals to kidnap the babies of his political adversaries and sell them. That's power. That's vicious power. Opus Dei. What is the reach of Opus Dei? So if you want to control a country, particularly a Western country where you have to sort of rig elections and play the game, Republican or Democrat, conservative, Tory or Labor, that's messy. It's much easier to just control the courts. Much easier to just control the courts. You can't elect your judges. The judges, a single judicial decision can wipe out laws or create laws. Homosexual marriage in America, almost entirely installed by judicial fiat, whether you're for it or against it. It's a fact. Entirely installed. All of these issues about abortion, it relied on the judges, not on the legislators. The American Supreme Court has been owned and dominated by Catholics for decades, for generations. That's real power. That's real control. Let me give you some more examples of the Black Nobility. That's what you wanted to focus on. I had this, I play things in the background. I put on movies in the background, and I just kind of relax. I play video games, and I drink beer, and I still can't. I got to stop what I'm doing, and I got to go look at what's playing in the background. This popped up, the 1978 movie. I'm going to share the screen here. The 1978 movie, Window. 1978 movie, Wild Geese, starring Richard Burton, Richard Harris, and Roger Moore. Right? So we're in the apartment of Richard Harris, and Richard Burton's trying to convince him, hey, we need a mission to Africa because we're going to take all the colonization of Europe into Africa. We're going to shine the spotlight, and we're going to put a happy spin on it. We're actually going to go in. We're going to rescue a brave African leader. He's been imprisoned, and the bankers are going to have us go in there and rescue him, and then the bankers are going to betray us. And for a split second, we see in Richard Harris's flat on the wall, why does he have a painting of a Roman Catholic cardinal? He's got a painting of a Roman Catholic cardinal. Who the heck is that? Turns out that is none other than Ferdinand Gonzaga, the Duke of Mantua. Okay? Gonzaga. There is a university, a Jesuit university named after the Gonzaga family. This is power, insidious power. That's for a split second in a 1978 movie. And there are thousands of examples of insane. Hey, let's go to streaming today. How they are insinuated from Jude Law as the young pope, the first American pope, presaging the current Chicago pope, right? The Borgias, the TV show from 2011, 2013, Jeremy Irons, Holiday Granger. I'll just take a quick second and talk about the Borgia Black Nobility family, okay? Focusing on, Lucrezia Borgia. In fact, you know what? Let me share this screen real quick because it's... So this is an archetypal image. Here in the front, in the center of the picture is sexy Lucrezia with a cup and a snake, right? Oh, she was the masterful poisoner. The masterful poisoner. No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. She was the illegitimate child of Rodrigo de Borgia. Oh, wait a minute. I thought they were celibate. Aren't popes supposed to be celibate? The list of crimes of popes. Debauchery is one of the lowest. Intrigue and murder and torture and sex and incest. I doubt that's come up. I've never seen the series. But Lucrezia was a love interest, a sex partner of her father, and multiple brothers, including Cesare, Cardinal Cesare, General Cesare, and Brother Juan. As a matter of fact, I don't know if they covered this. I'm sure they had great theater if they did. Cesare murdered his brother Juan over who would have more sex with their sister. I'm not making this up.
Wait, so hang on, Johnny. I'm just looking at the time though, so we got to sort of come in for a final lap. And
happy to pick it up. It's a perfect place to stop. Yeah. And we'll leave teaser. Yeah. Happy to come back if you want to.
Yeah, we can come back for round two. But what I'm gathering from this conversation is the center of global power is not the Jews, it's the Vatican, and it's been like that for 1,000 to 2,000 years.
2,000 years if you consider military Rome and you consider religious Rome to be simply a transformation of the extension of power. Now, if you wanted to, if you were someone like me that believes in a fourth dimension, that believes in a realm of the spirit, you could very easily state that there are dominions and powers that have been in Rome for thousands of years. But the fact is, the historical fact is, Rome is an epicenter of power. My point is that she has erased herself. She has erased herself and shoved patsies into the spotlight. Rome is far more powerful today than she ever was. Listen, many of the names that you know are overt Roman Catholic, and many of them are far left. Trudeau, son of Trudeau. You have these feudalistic families. Oh, we elected them. Trudeau, son of Trudeau. Kumo, son of Kumo. We have this. I have a whole list of Roman Catholic feudal families. Hey, there's a Borgia. There's an Alice, a Rodrigo de Borgia that was president of Ecuador in the 90s. Are you kidding me? To this day. Okay. So they are secretly controlling power from behind the scenes. And that's the point. And these black nobility families are absolutely central to this, but they have to get their reach and their power through the Catholic Church. And that's how it all fits together.
I mean, if it's been like that for so long, is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
This is it right here. Their most insidious weapon is invisibility. Their most insidious weapon is their invisibility. Listen, Jeremy, I believe now more than ever that this heated frenzy of baiting and blaming Jews is as a result that this message is getting out. People are saying, wait a minute. Is there somebody behind this group? Yeah, these are bad people. Who's behind them? Who is the puppet master? Who's controlling them? This This is the beginning of the end. The censorship that started with the pandemic, it's still going full bore. It's the new normal, okay? This is stark, raving mad fear because the truth is getting out. I think that's the beginning of the end. What we really need is we need it to all collapse. It is a rotten house of cards, right, Kevin Spacey? He got another accusation of sexual misconduct against a boy or something. It is a rotten house of cards. What we need is for people on the inside. They own it all right now. They own the military, they own the police, they own the technology, they own the spying, they own the internet. What we need is for people on the inside. They're in a gilded cage. These are people that seem to have it all, and they've lost their soul. And they feel trapped because they know that if they break ranks, horrible things will happen to them and their families.
No. So, but I mean, we know that, like, for example, the pharmaceutical industry and the central banks are largely run by Jews. Were they put there?
You mean like Aurelia Sacchetti? I'm sorry, Goldman Sachs. You know Aurelia Sacchetti better as Goldman Sachs. Okay, the Jews. Who created usury banking? Who owns the Medici we just talked about? The Medici, the Farnese, the Templars created usury banking because of Roman Catholic. Oh, Bank of America. Look up what was Bank of America originally. Bank of Italy. The very word bank comes from the Italiano banco, which was the counter over which the Medici conducted their business. Watergate. What was Watergate all about? The Vatican Bank owned the property of the Watergate Hotel. The whole block. The Vatican Bank owns it. Every movie, you've got Uzis and Desert Eagles and all these Jew guns. But there's always a good Beretta in there. Oh, Vatican Bank behind that too. The Vatican Bank. What? The Vatican Bank. Go ahead.
Well, speaking of the Vatican Bank, Operation Gladio, which is one of the largest covert operations in history, was funded by the Vatican.
Oh my goodness. And think about this, Jeremy. What was Gladio's intention, supposedly, right? So
take down the communists.
And what was the result of Gladio? The far left owns and dominates Italy and Europe. They were, if that was their goal, they were overwhelming failures. Unless, of course, it wasn't really their goal. Time and time again, the CIA, the Jesuit-controlled, dominated CIA, has betrayed the West and enabled the far-left communist empires of China. Hey, the New York Times said Mao Zedong, the Vatican's favorite priest. New York Times, back in 1964. I've got the newspaper clipping. He was a picture of Father Mao hanging in the Vatican press room until the New York Times ran it in like 64, 69, something like that. I'll show it to you. Joseph Stalin, a Jesuit priest and Freemason. Joseph Stalin, okay? I've got two sources on Joseph Stalin. He is acknowledged by most history to have become an ordained or a studied Orthodox priest in the Orthodox seminary in Tiflis, was secretly run by the Jesuits. I've got two sources on that, okay? Time and again, the CIA has betrayed the West. It appeared that Gladio was, but what's the end result? Okay, don't make newspaper, don't make any deductions for me. Just tell me the facts. The fact is that Gladio, by murdering innocent people and blaming communist terrorists, Red Faction, Red Brigade, blah blah blah, red, they own it. The left, the socialist, communist left, owns Italy, owns Europe. An unbelievable failure, unless of course that was their goal in the first place. Repeatedly, the CIA, run and dominated by the Jesuits and Rome and Vatican, has enabled and installed the communist menace to perpetuate the Cold War, to perpetuate war profiteering. Repeatedly, from Hungary in 56, the CIA encouraged. No, Warsaw in 44. Franklin Freemason Roosevelt encouraged the Polish resistance to rise up and get... Oh, you're a hero, Stalin. My hero? Joseph Stalin, the Poles and the Jews hate each other to this day. And by the way, Poland, 98% Roman Catholic. And Poles and Jews. Poles and the Russians hate each other to this day. And by the way, Poland, 98% Catholic. And yet, the godfather of the Russian secret police, Felix Dzerzhinsky, a Roman Catholic Pole. How did that work? Vladimir Putin, who is a Knight of Malta, born on October 7th, Our Lady of Victory, had a bust of Felix Dzerzhinsky on his desk when he ran the KGB. Isn't that interesting? Repeatedly, the CIA has betrayed the West anytime there was an uprising against the tyranny. As a matter of fact, Yalta and what was the other? Potsdam, Yalta and Potsdam. The Freemasons and Jesuits got together and divided up the world and gave half the world to Jesuit demon Stalin. Carved up half the world and just gave it to, why? Because we needed Russia to help us beat those evil Germans. Okay? Repeatedly, Warsaw in 44, Hungary in 56, Bay of Pigs in 61. Oh, April 19th and 61, right? April 19th. What April 19th? The original April 19th, a whole list of horrible things happened on April 19th or April 20th, to include everything from the BP implosion and the Gulf to Adolf Hitler's birth, the Columbine, et cetera, et cetera. What's the biggest? April 19th, Ignatius Loyola becomes the very first superior general on April 19th in 1541, I believe it was. Bay of Pigs, Prague, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Warsaw. All of these are supposed stupendous failures of the CIA, when in reality, that's exactly what the CIA wanted, was for the resistance to rise up. And the CIA says, rise up, we're behind you, we'll hold your coat, we'll hold your jacket. And then they look the other way, and Soviet tanks roll over the resistance. They played it again and again and again, Jeremy. Nobody else, I've never heard anybody else say this, that this was a CIA sucker play to enable communism, because communism is a mess. Communism came from the Catholic Church. That's a whole nother show, okay? Augustine and Aquinas. It came from the Catholic Church. Catholic Church is all about confiscating. You should not have anything personal and private. As a matter of fact, Schwabe, who's godfather of his doctrine, is Dom Helder Camara, a Roman Catholic bishop, right? Schwab, $1 million. Schwab, he's so evil. The godfather of his doctrines was a Roman Catholic bishop, Dom Helder Camara.
Well, on that cliffhanger, Johnny Cirucci, how can my audience follow your work?
Love you, pal. JohnnyCirucci.com, JohnnyCirucci.com, Johnny@JohnnyCirucci.com. I will answer you. I've been kicked off of YouTube, but I maintain a Rumble channel under Resistance Rising, Odyssey channel, BitChute, and Brighteon. And that is my current. I've got 5 books that are still available on Amazon because nobody knows they exist. Illuminati Unmasked, Secret History, Eaters of Children, and Romans of Mass Destruction. Really big. I'm going to talk about Catherine de Medici. Rewriting her as a superhero, superstar, mass murderer. The Medici running France that mass murdered Protestant French. The St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre. Rewritten by modern books and modern TV shows as a hero. She was just a powerful woman. So my 3rd book and my 4th book, Eaters of Children and Romans of Mass Destruction, get deep into that stuff. And then my last book, my current book, is Disciples of Ra, that talks about what you didn't know about the medical industry and pandemics. Anthony Fauci, how could you say either AIDS or COVID and not say Anthony Jesuit Fauci? It's because maybe you haven't read my book. So that's where you can find all that good stuff.